Hey, it's Cobra here at MaddenGuides.com, and for this Madden Tips video breakdown, we're going to take a look at a defense out of the 3-4 under that's called OLB Strike 2, or Outside Linebacker Strike 2. And what this defense features is the two outside linebackers blitzing off the edges, and then you have two deep coverage behind it. So let's go ahead and actually take a look at the play. Before we do that, let's go ahead and look at the offensive play that we're going to go ahead and use for this breakdown here as far as what we're going to run. So as far as the offensive play that we're going to use the I-Form Pro curls. You can find this one out of the Browns playbook. And as I've already mentioned, the defense that we're going to use here is a 3-4 under outside linebacker strike 2. You can find this one out of the Ravens playbook if you're following along. All right, let's go ahead and get on the screen here. And I want to go ahead and look at some things before we get going here as far as the coverages are concerned. And as you look at it, what you'll find here with this particular defense is you have these two defenders, which is the two deep defenders, which is going to be the two safeties playing two deep coverage. And then you're going to have the two corners playing soft zones or soft flats on the outside out there as you look at it, or soft squat, whatever they want to call it. So those guys playing the flats out there. And then you're going to have the two inside linebackers both playing vertical hooks. And then as you look at your screen here, you're going to have these guys right here rushing the quarterback. These are your five defensive players that are rushing. You got the three linemen and two outside linebackers. All right, what I want to do initially here is I want to go ahead and run this and not do anything at all. I just want to show you guys what will happen and just kind of give you an idea. So we're not really going to get any pressure from this because as I go back and I'll show you that you've got, as I mentioned earlier, you've got these five guys that are rushing the quarterback, as we've already talked about. Then you also got the five offensive linemen. So you got 5-on-5. And the only way you're going to get any pressure is maybe one of your an X factor or somebody can get in there and put the pressure on the quarterback himself and bust through the line pretty quick. That's about the only way you're going to end up getting pressure with this particular defense. And so with that said, what we're going to do here is we're going to make some adjustments here to show you how to get that pressure and still keep your coverage, so you're not going to lose your coverage. And to do that, all you really got to do is take control of this guy right here, which is going to be the right inside linebacker, and I'm going to go ahead and bring him up into this area here. Now, I'm not going to do anything with him. I'm not going to blitz him or anything like that. I'm just bringing him in here, and I want to show you what will happen, providing that you do this right, and you'll end up getting edge heat coming off the edge from this linebacker right here as you look on your screen. So you're going to get from the left outside linebacker is going to shoot in. Now keep in mind, everybody's going out on the offensive side of the ball. And I do want to talk about some other things as we go through this video breakdown, kind of give you some different thoughts, at least my thoughts on it, and some coaching points of when you might want to run this defense and when you might not want to. So let's go ahead and run it. And you can see right there we get the edge heat, as I said before, from that outside linebacker. Let's take a look at that and go in instant replay because you can really see what I did to create this thing. And again, you don't have to blitz them. All you got to do is just move them up into the gap. The main thing you want to do when the ball is snapped, and I'll show you here in a second. Well, let's go ahead and just kind of look at this. What we're trying to do here with this, let's zoom in just a little bit. The idea of this is to change the offensive line. Now, before I move this linebacker, pretend like that linebacker's not there. So the blocking assignments are something like this before we move that linebacker up into that right across in the center. So it's going to look like something like this as you're looking at your screen here. And that's what you see right there. So you got 5-on-5 blocking, right? Now, once we move the linebacker up into the gap, now the line has to at least account for him. So something like this should have happened. This is what we're hoping will happen with this particular blitz. By bringing him up into the gap, and remember, he's not blitzing, though. Just remember that. We don't have him blitzing. There's what you'd have. You'd have something like that, and then that's going to free up this. At least that's what the objective is, to get that scenario right there as you're looking at your screen. As you can see on your screen, that's what we're trying to achieve, and get that outside linebacker to get pressure on the quarterback. All right, so to do that, what I had to do was, on the controller, once the ball is snapped, I'm taking my linebacker at an angle. If you think about the controller, I'm trying to get it about the 7 o'clock position, between 7 and 8, where I'm going down in this direction here. So what I'm doing when the ball is snapped, even though I'm in control of him, I'm just going to go ahead and use this. I'm going to this direction here. And then the idea of that is to get this guy to look to block me, which is the center. And hopefully that's what happens. Now, It may not always do it that way, but as long as you try to get at the 7 o'clock position, it should do that. Let's go ahead and fast forward it. See how I'm going at that position? And look at, if you look, watch the center here. You'll see, if you're watching him, let's go ahead and show him. He's looking towards me. He's looking right at me right now. As you look at it, he's seeing where I'm going. And then there it is. And then with him moving out of position, such as what he's doing, which, he's looking this direction here, then it changes the way the offensive line blocks to the right side. And so you end up getting, what I'm showing here is you end up getting this guy and this guy, the right guard and the right tackle, to block those two. And then we end up getting the pressure off the edge coming from this guy here, which is the outside linebacker, in this case, the left outside linebacker. Now, if you got a fast left outside linebacker, obviously you want to put him in that position so you can get that pressure. But there's the pressure right there. All right. Now, once I see the center commit, and I see that this guy gets past the line of scrimmage, this left outside linebacker, once I see him get past the left outside linebacker gets past the line of scrimmage, which is what you're seeing here, and I also saw that the center is looking towards me, then at this point, while I'm in control of him, or I can release him, which is what I'm going to do here, I'm going to switch, and then I'm just going to take another control, another guy. But at this point, I'm releasing him, and now he's going to drop back in the hook zone, and I'm still getting this coverage here, which is those are the 2 hook zone defenders. I've got the 2 flat defenders out here covering it flat. Now, in this particular, with the soft squat, those corners drop a little further back, and then you also got your 2 deep zone. Now, obviously, if you look at your screen here, you can see that the tight end's wide open with this particular set. That's only because of the two linebackers are dropping back in vertical hooks, one to the left, one to the right. So there's some things we can do to adjust to that too as well, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But at this point, we did get the pressure on the quarterback. I've got everything I wanted to show you, at least with that. All right, now, one of the things we talked about over the last week or so, I've talked about the 12th defender. Let's go do that right now, and we'll go ahead and bring that ball up there, because you can do some things to help take away some of that coverage problems that you're having right there. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's go ahead and bring it up. Because this is such a simple defense to set up, you can do some different things. One of the things is, probably should have done this before, is you could take control of this linebacker here before the ball snapped, and then you could put him in a middle read. If you do that, then he would drop over in this area here. Now, he may be a little far away from where that tight end was when we show that tight end, where the tight end was coming across into this area here. But at least he would be in somewhat position. So you could put him in a middle read if you want to, and that's going to have him play the middle of the field, more or less the deep part of the field. The other option would be to go into coaching adjustments and maybe have those guys drop, the linebackers drop 10 yards back in the hook zones. That's another thing we could do. Another thing we could do is, let's go ahead and reset the play here. So we got everybody doing their thing. If it's inside the, in this case, inside the 10-yard line, like I talked about in the critical area, the critical zone where they're about to score, because again, this is such an easy defense to set up. One of the things you could do is you look at your screen here, you could go ahead and hot route the 2 safeties into hook curls, is what I'm about to do here. So let's go ahead and do that. And then if you do that, and then you take control of this linebacker, so there's your setup right there. So now if you look at it, if you really think about what we got going on here, we've got this guy playing this area, we've got this linebacker playing this area, and now we've got our 2 safeties playing in this area here. So if you look at it, we have some nice coverage here, and that's one of the things you could do if you wanted to. Let's go ahead and snap it. And then we got nice coverage all over the place with this particular defense, so it's not too bad. Now, I would do this inside the red zone, particularly, especially inside the 10-yard line. What I do want to do is, while we're doing this, we're going to go back and respot the ball, because I just thought of something else you might consider doing this. We're doing this. So let's go back in here, and you can see the pressure again coming off the edge from that linebacker right there as you're looking at it. So you can see him coming off the edge. If we zoom out just a little bit, you can look at all the coverages out there, and the coverages look pretty good for the most part. I mean, we could set the even though that middle linebacker's still open, or not the middle linebacker, but the tight end's kind of open right there. I'll take my chances on that, And like I said, we could always adjust our coaching adjustments if we wanted to down to 5 yards. And if we set them down to 5 yards, then this means these safeties are going to come up even further, and they're definitely going to take that short pass away over the middle for that tight end. So that's something else you can do. Let's go back in here and go back and take a look at something. Go back and respot that ball. I want to do something else I want to show you. Matter of fact, I never really even thought about it until I actually done this. Even when I ran this defense, I didn't even think about doing this. But if you got time and you're fast, and I'm not the fastest on the controller, that's probably why I never really ever done this. But if you're fast on the controller, then you can go ahead and put those guys in that same those coverages I was just showing earlier. As far as the let's go look at them, just so you can see what I'm talking about. You could put these guys in the hook curls, right? If you're fast enough, and then make sure you put this guy in the middle read right there, and then go ahead and take your linebacker, which is the same one I've been in control of. So here's the setup right there. Now, what's going to happen here is you watch this. This linebacker who's playing that middle read is going to drop further back. He's going to drop into this area here, and then the other two linebackers are going to come up here. And then you still have some deep coverage over the middle, sort of. You know, it's not way, way deep, but it's deep enough. Should be good enough because hopefully you'll get the pressure on the quarterback. And the downside of that, of course, is if they get past if you do that, you know you're in soft squat on the outside. These guys are going to drop back a little bit into this area here. You've got to hope, this is kind of risky, but you've got to hope that you get the pressure before, if they were running streaks, you might end up getting burned, let's put it that way, or some kind of deep coverages. But if they're just running this particular play, and this again, it comes down to maybe if you're playing in a connected franchise and you see what kind of opponent you're playing against, then this might be something you consider doing. But let's go ahead and just run it anyways. We'll take a look at it. And you can see that we get the pressure off the edge. And if you look at the defense here, as I just mentioned, you could conceivably run this defense out in between the 20s rather than inside the 20s. Again, I think this defense is really much better to run down, at least this particular setup I'm showing, to running down the crucial zone the way I'm showing it right here. But at any rate, you get the pressure. As you look here, you still got some nice coverage deep. For the most part, you got all 5 of these defenders as you're looking at it. All 5 of these guys are dropping pretty far back. I mean, they're dropping about 10 to 12 yards back. So you're hoping that you can get the pressure, is what I'm saying, before the opponent finds the open receiver. All right, so that's that on that. Let's go look at something else I want to show. With this particular defense, I don't know if I would run this against the spread formations so much. If you did, let me show you here. I'll show you a couple things here going on with this play. And maybe inside the 10-yard line you might consider running this, but I don't know if it's something you would want to run outside of that. So let's go ahead and look at it. I want to show it to you here just real quick. Say they come out in the spread formation here, run the double slants play. Part of the problem you're going to have right off the bat is once I move this guy over here, and I do the blitz and all that, then this guy's going to be wide open right here because I'm not going to be able to cover him. The only thing you could do to try to alleviate that would be to bring these safeties down and try to help take that away a little bit. Now, the other option is to say you come out into cover 2-man like I'm showing or something like that, and then you end up making it look like the same defense I just showed, but really you're in cover 2-man. So now you're just trying to fool your opponent, even though this linebacker is supposed to be covering him, but you're still trying to at least make it look like it to a degree. Or you come out and say, let's look at another defense. Maybe you can come out in here. So maybe you come out in the cover 3 defense and you do the same thing. You're not really blitzing or anything like that, but you're trying to make your opponent think you are. And you're trying to make him think it's the same setup, even though it's not. So that's some different things you can do. I don't know if I would run this against a spread formation as much, but certainly a base set such as the iForm Pro. If we go back in here to into the Browns playbook, let's look at some other things. You could probably run, as you're looking at your screen, you could run against the split slot. I think you can get away with that and have some success with it. Maybe the bunch, because you got them all bunched up there. You could get away with there. Another formation would be like maybe the gun tight, something like that. Anyways, where the compressed formations, you could definitely run this against compressed formation. That's my point. So at any rate, hopefully this is a video that'll help you guys out and give you some different ideas and things you can do to put some pressure on the quarterback from the 3-4 under outside linebacker strike 2. Hey Madden gamers, if you enjoy this Madden video or any other video, please subscribe to the Madden Guides YouTube channel. And as always, thanks for watching and for your support.